This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we have a older style Maytag dryer that is not spinning anymore. We can hear the motor running, so we know that the fault is a broken belt. And these belts last a long time, so this may have broken at about maybe the 12th year mark. So we have it unplugged, and we're going to take out a couple of screws here in the front. And they're kind of hard to get to because they're pointing down at 45 degrees. So you can either use this angle tool, or you can tilt the dryer back a little bit to give you access with your Phillips head screwdriver to take these out. Once you get them out, you pull the whole front panel towards you to about 45 degrees, and then the upper clips release. Then you can just take the whole panel and move it to your left. You don't have to disconnect those wires. You can just keep them there and just keep the panel out of the way. You can disconnect the wires if you like for the door switch. And now we're going to take off this front part called the bulkhead. Oh, here's the old belt finally broke. But they last a long time. And to get the bulkhead off, we just have to remove 4 screws that are on the 4 different corners. Somebody had come in here before and maybe lost a screw, so they ended up using different types of screws. So some were bolts, some were Phillips head screws, but usually they're just these bolts. And you remove the 4 of them, and then you can just pull the bulkhead off, and that allows you then to get the new belt put over the tumbler. So it's kind of weird with this model. It seems counterintuitive, but you put the cloth side of the belt against the tumbler instead of the rubber side. This just shows you kind of how it goes over the idler wheel and over the motor pulley. It's a little bit different from the modern dryers. The weirdest part again though is you put it on kind of backwards. So again, the cloth side faces the tumbler, the metal tumbler, and the rubber part faces out. And this shows how it goes over the motor pulley and then loops over the spring-loaded idler wheel, and then it goes up over the tumbler. So I'm going to just put it in over the tumbler and kind of work it back, lift up the tumbler a little bit, and then get it back over where the motor hangs out near the back. You'll actually feel there's a ridge back there, and I like to put it into the ridge when I first put it on. Here, if you look carefully, you can see the number on the belt. Once we get it over the motor pulley, we actually get it out of that groove, but it's just good to put it on there initially because it takes a little bit of the tension off and makes it easier to put on. So again, I'm reversing the belt, putting the cloth side on first, getting it back there, working it over all these obstacles at the bottom to get it near the back. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can come at it from the back to get it over the motor pulley. Another way you can do it though is interesting. You can pull the whole tumbler towards you to create some space, get a flashlight back there, and then you can look at what's going on, and you can do the putting the belt over the idler wheel and the pulley from this angle. So you've created about maybe 8 inches of space. So I got it over the motor pulley. I'm pulling the idler wheel to my left, taking the spring tension off so I can put it over that wheel. Again, here's a picture of what it'll look like. This is looking at it from the back. So the cloth side is rubbing against the white idler wheel, and the rubber part is touching the metal pulley on the motor. If you have it that way, you did it correctly. And now I've got it in a position. I'm going to push the tumbler back in so it's resting on its rear wheels. I have to lift up a little bit because it's under spring tension. And then I'll reach back and I'll pull it toward me a little bit by about 2 inches to get it out of the groove that it's stuck in. I don't want it to be in that groove because then it won't line up correctly with the motor pulley. I'm going to bring the whole belt toward me a little bit. It's under some tension, so I'm just going to move it like a few inches at a time toward me, and then I'll turn the tumbler a little bit and move it a little bit further. I'll reach in underneath, do the same thing. And I'm just trying to get it out. You can see that groove. Now I'm looking in underneath, and I'm going to reach in. You'll be able to see it here with the flashlight. I'm going to reach in and grab the belt to pull it out of that groove, just bringing it toward me a little bit. And I'm making sure that the cloth side of the belt is facing to the tumbler. There we go. And the rubber side is facing out. And then I'll turn the tumbler a little bit, and then I'll just keep doing that to make sure that that belt is on there correctly before I do my reassembly. Sometimes these get kind of twisted as you do the procedure, so I'm making sure that it's untwisted. I'm turning it and just making sure that that belt is on there correctly. So do make sure it's not in the groove, but it's pulled towards you by about 1 inch to 2 inches. Just make it do a whole 360-degree rotation. You can see underneath as I'm spinning it now, I'm making sure that it's riding really well on the idler wheel and that it's not going to slip off. It'd be a pain in the neck if you did all this without this part of the procedure, reassembled it, and then when you started it would slip off. Be no fun. So make sure that it's really on there by doing this test. And then it's okay to put the bulkhead back on. So we're just going to push it into position. You know, kind of you push it in and let it sit down. It has a couple of catches that it lands on, and you're going to put those bolts back in. One thing to be cognizant of is in the lower left-hand corner of the bulkhead is the air ducting that hooks up to the blower fan, and there's a felt seal that makes it almost an airtight seal with the blower housing. You got to make sure that that has gone on there. I'm looking in there and I'm seeing that it's not quite on there, so I'll use a standard head screwdriver to get that felt seal right onto that ducting. There we go. And then I'll push the ducting all the way in. Make sure it's fully sealed, and that way the airflow is really good. So we got it. We got the belt on there. We got the bulkhead back on. The seal is in position, and now it's okay to put the front panel back on. And we do that by getting it in the basic position and then tilting it about 45 degrees so the upper clips engage first. We push it up in and then let it hinge down. And then we put in those 2 Phillips head screws, coming in at about a 45-degree angle. Again, if you want to put the belt on, you have to put it on from the front, but to loop it over the motor pulley, there's a little access panel on the back. You can do it from back there. It may be easier. So plugged it in, started it, and it's spinning great. Might get another 12 years out of this belt. Just going to test it again. There we go. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance. Thanks a lot.